You check your phone after posting something online, not because you're bored, because you need to see if people liked it. You replay a conversation from 3 days ago, wondering if you said something wrong, whether someone is upset with you. You agree to something you didn't want to do, again, and you tell yourself it's because you're a kind person. But what if it isn't kindness? What if beneath every people-pleasing habit, every anxious text reread, every compliment you quietly chase, there is something much older running the show? Today, we're going into the psychology Sigmund Freud built his entire career on, the unconscious need for approval, where it actually comes from, and why understanding it might be the most important thing you ever do for yourself. Most people believe they seek approval because they care what others think. That sounds logical, but Freud would stop you right there. He made a radical claim. Most of what we think we're choosing to do, we are not choosing at all. We are driven to do it by forces inside us that we cannot see. He called this the unconscious mind, a vast reservoir of desires, fears, memories, and impulses that operate completely below our awareness. Think of the mind as an iceberg. What you consciously experience, your thoughts, your decisions, your reasons, that's the tip above the water. But the mass beneath the surface, that's where your actual motivation lives. Approval seeking, Freud would argue, is almost never a conscious preference. It is an unconscious compulsion. And compulsions don't respond to logic. They keep running, like code you didn't write but can't delete. So the real question isn't, why do I care what people think? The real question is, what inside me believes I am not safe unless they approve of me? To answer that, Freud takes us back, all the way back. He believed that the psychological patterns we carry as adults are not random. They are the direct echo of our earliest experiences, specifically our relationship with our caregivers. As an infant, you had no survival skills, no autonomy, no ability to feed or protect yourself. You were entirely dependent on the adults around you. And so your nervous system did something very intelligent. It learned to monitor them constantly. Are they happy? Are they present? Do they approve of me right now? Because their approval wasn't just emotional comfort, it was survival. When a parent responded with warmth and consistency, the child's nervous system learned, I am safe, I am enough, I belong. But when approval was conditional, given only when the child performed well, behaved a certain way, suppressed their emotions, or became what the parent needed, the child learned something different. I must earn my place. Love is not guaranteed. I have to be acceptable to be safe. Freud called this the root of what he termed neurotic anxiety, a low-grade, chronic fear that you are on the edge of losing connection, losing love, losing belonging. And here is the crucial part. That nervous system doesn't update automatically when you grow up. You may be 35 years old, financially independent, surrounded by people who genuinely love you, and your unconscious is still running a 5-year-old survival strategy, still scanning every room for signs of disapproval, still shrinking, still performing.
Freud's model of the psyche gave us 3 structures that are essential here: the id, the ego, and the superego. The id is pure impulse, what you want, what you feel, unfiltered. The superego is the internalized voice of authority, your parents, your culture, your religion, the rules you absorbed about who you're supposed to be. And the ego sits between them, trying to negotiate reality. Now here's where approval seeking gets interesting. When the superego is harsh, when the internal critic is loud, relentless, and was built from conditional love, the ego becomes desperate. It cannot find internal validation because the superego keeps moving the goalpost. You're not good enough. You didn't do enough. What will they think? So the ego turns outward. It starts harvesting approval from other people as a substitute for the internal peace it cannot generate on its own. Every like, every compliment, every "you did great," They provide a temporary quieting of the superego's voice. But notice the word, temporary, because external validation cannot fix an internal wound. It numbs it, briefly, and then the need returns, often stronger than before. This is why approval-seeking behaves so much like addiction. The relief is real, but it doesn't last, and over time you need more of it to feel the same effect. One of Freud's most powerful contributions was identifying defense mechanisms, the unconscious strategies the mind uses to protect itself from uncomfortable truths. Approval seekers are particularly skilled at using certain defenses that make the behavior almost invisible, even to themselves. Rationalization. You tell yourself you agreed because you wanted to help, because you're a generous person, because it was the right thing to do. This narrative protects you from seeing the fear underneath. Reaction formation. You transform the anxiety about being disliked into an exaggerated performance of liking everyone. You become relentlessly positive, aggressively agreeable, not because you feel it, because you cannot afford for anyone to see the need beneath. Projection. You accuse others of being attention-seeking or needy, qualities you cannot acknowledge in yourself. You see in them what you refuse to see in you. And perhaps the most subtle, sublimation. You channel the need for approval into achievement. You work harder, produce more, reach higher, and the world rewards you for it. So the behavior looks healthy, it looks like ambition, but underneath, the engine is still the same terrified question, am I enough yet? These defenses are not weaknesses, they are ingenious adaptations. But they keep the wound hidden, which means they keep it unhealed.
Let's be honest about what approval seeking actually takes from you. It takes your authenticity. When your primary goal is to be acceptable to others, you cannot afford to be yourself. You edit, you perform, you become a curated version of a person, and over time, you lose contact with who you actually are. It takes your boundaries. You cannot hold a limit that might disappoint someone. You cannot say no without guilt. You cannot prioritize yourself without feeling selfish. It takes your decisions, career choices, relationships, how you dress, what you say, what you don't say, all quietly filtered through the question, what will they think? And most painfully, it takes your relationships, because when you cannot show people who you really are, when you only show them the version you hope they'll approve of, you can never actually feel loved, because what they love isn't you. It's the performance. Freud described this as one of the deepest sources of human suffering, to be surrounded by people and still feel fundamentally unseen.
Freud's insight was not meant to leave us hopeless. It was meant to make the unconscious conscious, because that is where change becomes possible. He believed that the moment you can see a pattern clearly, trace it to its origin, name the fear beneath it, recognize the defense mechanisms protecting it, its grip on you begins to loosen. You cannot think your way out of an unconscious compulsion, but you can develop what Freud called insight, a real, felt understanding of why you do what you do. That looks like asking, when I feel the urge to seek reassurance right now, what am I actually afraid of? It looks like noticing the difference between genuine generosity and appeasement. It looks like slowly, carefully, practicing the tolerance of disapproval, not because it feels good, but because your nervous system needs evidence that you can survive it. And it looks like building what the external world was never able to give you, an internal source of worth, not dependent on performance, not contingent on anyone's response. Freud called the goal of psychological work making the unconscious conscious. The approval seeker's version of that is simple to say and hard to live. I am enough, not because they said so, but because I exist.
If you recognized yourself anywhere in this video, that's not a coincidence. Approval seeking is one of the most common unconscious patterns in human psychology,
precisely because conditional love is one of the most common human experiences. You weren't broken by it. You adapted to it. And adaptation can be unlearned. If this resonated, the next video you should watch is why you can't stop self-sabotaging. Because approval-seeking and self-sabotage are almost always running together. Like this video if it gave you something to think about. And leave a comment with the one sentence that hit closest to home.